Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dalaran in Legion. So this is current in the alpha, and I'm going to be showing you three different things in this video. First of all, we've got what you can see now, which are just some shot-by-shot kind of comparisons. Then I'm going to give you a minute and a half look at the Tower of Egwin, which is that thing, which you can see right now, which basically replaces the current central area of Dalaran. And then after that, I've got a side-by-side run-through. I basically multi-boxed the alpha client along with the regular client and ran two characters through pretty much the exact same path. So what are we overall going to see in this video? Well, first of all, we're going to see the Oblitarium Forge, which is right there. Pretty cool, a big new thing in the crafting of this expansion. But overall, what you're going to see is there are improved textures. For some things, it's not done yet, obviously. There are also a lot more just in the way of ground clutter and things. If you look at this building shot here, there's just more stuff. Here's an outdoor shot of Warlords of Draenor, and if you flick that over to the Legion one, you can see, if you look at the rooftops, that the textures are actually a little bit better, and as an example, you've got the Oblitarium Forge there. Overall, it's not a massive upgrade, and it's like a stealth upgrade, right? You're not going to notice it a lot. You know, there's some better lighting, some better textures. There's also some areas with worse lighting because it's just not finished yet. Now, of course, this is where you're really going to notice there's a big new thing in the middle. That's the Tower of Egwin. Obviously, the lighting for it is not done whatsoever, which is a little bit of a pity. And you can also see we've been replaced by a new Council of 6 who, well, currently only really has 4 members in it, but I think the reasons behind that are going to be something that's elaborated on. Overall, it's a nice little incremental upgrade, and don't worry, I will show you the sewers that's in the run-through section of this video. Anyway, so here I am on my warrior, about to head into the Tower of Egwin to show you what it's like. A little bit darker in terms of its overall color palette. I don't really know what they're going to do in terms of blending that into the rest of Dalaran, though. It almost seems like a little bit awkward, kind of. I'm not 100% sure there, but it is nice that there is a difference, and you'll see later on, like, just how much this exactly is plopped on top of the old Wrath of the Lich King monument that used to be there. They're kind of, yeah, it's cool though. You'll see that later on in the side-by-side comparison. So when you go into that portal thing, you're taken into this kind of chamber. I don't know whether this is under Dalaran, over Dalaran, or anything like that, but it's pretty darn cool. Now, currently, it's like mechanically not got a great deal. You can see there are two kind of little side rooms here, two like little offshoots with, they're full of bookcases and stuff, but right now they don't really have much in the way of mechanics. It's a very nice looking area though, but what really matters is when you head down into the very last chamber, there's a whole bunch of portals there. Now this is a 100% completely new area for Dalaran. So not really something we've actually seen before in the game. Totally good, and the portals are actually used in a number of the artifact quests, and indeed those portals are going to allow you far greater maneuverability within the world. I don't know if they're going to accidentally create a Cataclysm portal situation though. Anyway, here we go for the next section of the video. So first of all, Krasus Landing. If you look at that, you can see, well, quite obviously, we've got the big thing in the sky going on with the Legion version of Krasus Landing. They're going through here, you again see, it's pretty much the exact same. Right now, the lighting of the time of day isn't 100% perfect, but it is now better due to magic. I will not elaborate on that. There's the Sunreaver's place. Now, I would have checked that out if there were any changes, but there actually aren't. I will run through the or the other place in a minute. Bit of a shot there of the Tower of Egwin. I believe I head into a building here. Yeah, this is where I head into a building now. If you actually look at this building, you can see, again, there's a lot more clutter going on. You know, there's, like, in Legion, you've got a new carpet, a few little things like that which spruce it up. You can't see it as much of that building, but for a lot of them, you can. Once we head into the barber, I think what you more see is just differences in how things are lit and shade, such that I think it is a little bit darker overall, but that's just because I think there's more accurate lighting going on. Moving over here, we've got the bank. Now, the bank is, bar some shading, pretty much the exact same. The monument thing here is essentially identical, just that it's lit differently, but it doesn't seem like it's lit correctly. Certainly, he's holding up like a blue orb, so I don't know why that's giving off yellow light. It just looks completely unfinished, a little bit disconcerting, but again, this is the alpha version of the new Dalaran. If we go in here, this is the kind of blacksmithing place, and you can see the Legion one is looking a little bit better. You've got better textures and something, such as that forge. not Forge that Furnace, whatever. Overall, just the Legion stuff, it's got a lick of paint, but it's not a completely transformative lick of paint. Of course, here's the Oblitarium, like, Forge thingy. I think quite obviously that's a big, new, different thing. Moving on here, we again see there's just more ground clutter. More detail, more stuff. A little bit more of like a kind of archaeology fixation going on with that building. I suppose, well, yeah, archaeology wasn't actually a thing in Wrath of the Lich King, was it? So moving on into here, we see that this alchemy building's a little bit, just a little bit different, you know, differently lit, etc, etc, etc. A lot of this isn't particularly mind-blowing, and if you were running through this, bar the Aegwynn place, you could be forgiven for not really knowing that it's really changed. I assume we're going to see more, but really it does just seem like they're going to be polishing up everything and then adding the Tower of Aegwynn, and the Tower of Aegwynn, like, that's going to be the thing to get excited about. That's going to be the new bit of geometry for Dalaran. Everything else is just a tiny little incremental thing. Anyway, let's just leave that profession area, which again is largely very similar, and head on over a little bit and see what else is going on. I think, yeah, in here to the right, that is the Rogue class hall, so in Legion it's barred over. In the live game, of course, you can enter it and go into it, but, you know, obviously in Legion, that's a rogue thing. I think you right-click on it and you kind of pick the lock and get in. You will have seen that if you watched my rogue artifact weapon quest video. So here I am in the Silver Enclave. The Silver Enclave is essentially identical currently. Like, these guys, even in Legion, are still selling the regular bits of gear. You know, like the level 80 stuff. Moving on down here into this pub, or bar, whatever, we see that it's, like, there's some things that are very slightly different, and that's probably just because the engine itself is a little bit, you know, different in some ways, like the lighting's a bit different and all that, but it is essentially the same thing. I don't know, I suppose it really depends on what people want out of this change to Dalaran. Do they want something that's completely new, or do they want to basically see the same thing ported across, or do they want the same thing but with a complete lick of paint and a complete kind of tweak? Rather than a full redesign. I don't know what people are going to think overall. And now actually you can see here, while the texture of the floor in the beer garden is still shit in Legion, it is less shit than it was in Wrath, so I mean, at least that's something, right? So you can see we've got this new goblin dude who's just appeared there, and I do run into the bank here. The bank is exactly the same. So there really isn't anything to show there, so that's why I'm just going to skip right ahead to when I enter the Violet Hold. Now, looking at the Violet Hold, you can essentially see that it's pretty much the same. However, the NPCs are not there in the Legion version, as in the two NPCs who used to give you quests back in Wrath. I really hope that means that Blizzard plan to use those NPCs for something in Legion. I think that'll be a nice little throwback, and yeah, it was fun getting your daily dungeon quests and stuff like that from those guys. So, with that, we're going to head into the Tower of Aegwynn, just so I can show you how that stuff all kind of matches and lines up. And you can see it's literally plopped right down on the middle of Dalaran, and when we run in here, you really do see that, like, the central, like, area of that monument maps one-to-one onto where the transporter is in this room. As for the interior of the tower itself, I think I mentioned it already, but I do think it looks really nice. Maybe a little bit less of that kind of open feel that you get with the current version in live, and I suppose some people won't be the happiest that monument's now no longer going to be in the version of Dalaran that we interact with all the time, but I think it's a pretty good addition so far, and I do like that they're actually changing things, and of course, the original Dalaran is still going to exist in Wrath, so it's not really like we've lost anything. Anyway, I've already showed you the rest of the inside of the Tower of Aegwynn, so let's actually head over to the main sewer entrance. Now, the sewers are a little bit funny. Right now, they're definitely unfinished in terms of the main dueling ring area, but the actual main kind of body of the sewers does seem to be updated. What is kind of interesting, though, is that we don't get that really cool pub anymore that, you know, that was in the sewers. That's actually something that is now for the rogues and their class order hall. Anyway, you can see there's a new entrance down there to the left in Legion, but everything else is quite literally identical. Just that there has been a graphical lick of paint, which I think is really obvious, and it does look really nice. When we drop down into the brawling area, though, what you see is, like, this just isn't done at all in Legion, and I think there is like one of those little Blizzard construction signs somewhere around here saying that it's all under construction and, you know, hasn't been finished yet, and I'm definitely very quick to believe that based on how it looks. Moving on to the rest of it, though, you can pretty much see it's a one-to-one mapping. Yeah, the same format that you know and maybe or maybe not love. Now, when we move up here, I kind of was expecting to see some new stuff over here to the left, but we actually get exactly the same area, but again, looking a little bit better, and with some new NPCs. If you look directly ahead on the Legion side of things, we see Madame Goya is there, and that is where you're going to be getting your black market auction house access in Legion. That's far more convenient than it being in the Grant, and for some reason there's an Illidari camp there. Don't know what's going on there, but it's far better that you get access to that black market auction house like this, though I suppose since it is so accessible, it does mean that, you know, there'll be more people checking it out because it's more convenient, and perhaps that's going to mean more competition. Anyhow, that's it for the sewers. We have successfully looked through all of the sewers without getting murdered, and that pretty much caps off our look at Dalaran. Overall, not a massive change, but I think there are lots of changes which are welcome. It's nice seeing some new textures, and overall, they're doing a pretty good job. I think, you know, where we're going to see the upgrade is really in time once they get more and more of the high quality textures in. Right now, it does seem like this is very much half-baked, though I do like where they're going. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.